What's up, guys? Warren S here. Want to show you some tricks of the trade within Photoshop to get some of the training wheels going. And so we're setting up a file, 11 by 17, 250 on the resolution. That's just setting up the canvas size so we can start sketching on. I love using Photoshop to sketch. Allows you to kind of, develop some different quick looks in digital realm, so I can, condition those, change those, email those, and then change them whenever necessary. Here we're picking out a background color. I like to use a warm gray, so it's nothing more than gray. You see I'm on the yellow side. I love Simpsonite yellow. Obviously, using a lot of my different color sets. And so I'm using a kind of a yellowish gray background. Reason I do that, the white is just so bright, and I use black pencil, so it really makes a difference. Here I'm going to make a box showing you what regular gray looks like, showing you how I kind of like that warmness. And I'll fill that box. See how kind of bluish it is? That's pretty common, even when you're mixing colors in the real world for stamped concrete or carved rock, whatever. I like to add a little touch of Simpsonite yellow to it. It gives it that ashy, worn out old newspaper look. And you see that in nature quite a bit. All right. So again, back to why I use the program. Allows me to kind of loosely sketch. I can generate these for contract purposes. A picture's worth 1,000 words. I can go ahead and use it as such. I don't have to write a long, super long contract spelling out my design features. It'd be very hard. Rather not visually communicate with your client. All right, here we're going to be doing kind of a sitting rock, and this could be a hearth or anything like that. But I'll show you how I go about it. And first step is I set up some perspective lines. Perspective is very important when you're sketching. I'm planning on doing some sketch videos, addressing this, showing some kind of maybe the tricks of the trade. Are you going to be a full-blown artist, going to be painting canvases and doing other forms of media? Probably not, but I do think perspective drawing is a vital tool in your tool belt. So I definitely want to put some time together and deliver that content to you guys. So, all right. First thing I do is kind of sketch out a top view of what I'm drawing. It kind of helps me visualize in my head how this thing is going to look in 3D form. So here I'm sketching out the top view. Again, this could be a hearth or a sitting bench. You see I got a little indentation on the bottom left rather than just doing a rectangle. And this will make sense later. So here we're creating the box. I draw a lot of boxes when I'm doing my rocks, whether it's water features, sitting rocks, bird bats, etc. And it allows you to develop that core form of the rock. A lot of times we're doing foam core, we're doing rebar construction, where things are rigid anyway. They're going to be geometric or primitive. And so I start with a box, as you can see, kind of in perspective, which means that those lines are slightly tapering as they go off into the distance or to the backside. As you can see now, I am running that little bump out. Again, just drawing boxes. If this was a piece of foam, that's how I would be attacking the project. Right? I'm getting my set dimensions. A lot of times these are fixed dimensions, meaning that it needs to be, 7 feet long, 2 feet wide, maybe 19, 20 inches high. So there's the little bump out. And the next step now is I'm going to just start going ahead and starting to doll up the edges a little bit, get a little bit of rockiness. This is more of a journey, not a destination when you're sketching. You kind of just fall back into that create mode in which you're just kind of letting things happen on their own once you get to a proficient level. Now I'm going to go around the perimeter and I'm just creating some real irregular, unstraight line work. Again, really don't have any idea at this point how this thing's going to look, but I'm trying to have fun while I'm doing it. A lot of times these are for clients or there's time pressures associated with it. Kind of takes the fun out. So it's, I would say focus on getting in that zone, quote unquote zone, and try to just relax and see what comes out of that pencil. So pretty much the same here. I'm just kind of going around the edges and trying to break away that straight line. You'll notice I'll start subtracting material off the edges, and I'm just going to let it play out, and you guys can observe in real time. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually erasing out the lines. You can see on the left sidebar, see the eraser tool is selected. And just like traditional media, I can go ahead and keep it kind of grungy. I want some of that underbody line work to be there. I can still kind of see my sketch work of the box. So now I almost have a piece of tracing paper to kind of start out when I'm sketching. Kind of helps keep things in perspective form too. So I'll run the eraser over this till I can barely see it. Now the next layer is I'm going to start tracing over those lines, but now I can like dice up the rock work a little bit, make it a little chippy, make it look irregular, the unstraight. All right, I'm just going to let it play out. You guys can observe and watch. One thing to note here too, you notice my line work, it really varies. A lot of times I take just short jabs at my lines, just little dashes. Never really want to just, magic marker it all the way around the perimeter, but little dashes shooting off at different angles to help create that different or a sense or feel of rock. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just kind of going around with the pencil now. And what I'm doing is just creating a little bit of texture, a little bit of information at the surface that's going to help describe what that texture is doing. So here, I'm wrapping around the edges like there's a grain in the rock, like this is a sandstone or sedimentary type geology in which things are kind of moving just east to west. And as you can see, I put a little band there that runs around that's illustrating the grain or the flow of the rock. And again, I really don't have any idea or clue what I'm trying to finish as far as the rendered product. I'm kind of seeing what happens. If I don't like it, I can easily erase it. But having some of these little details or textures sketched in really just kind of invokes more creativity to say, wow, this, all right, well, maybe we'll add this now because now I think that looks cool, or maybe a little more of that. That's all I'm doing is keep throwing rice at the wall until something sticks, so to say. You see I'm changing brushes. I'm going to do more videos and whatnot to help explain these. At least the brushes that I use, I only use around 4 to 5. But for the sake of this video, I just want to focus on the what's and whys of why I'm sketching. Okay, I'm just erasing around the perimeter. You can see I got a little bit of an indentation towards that back side where it's not totally straight. Okay, same thing on that other side. You see it's kind of jagged. Very subtle, but super important. You see I clipped off that left as well. Again, erasing and refining, refining and then erasing. So create a new layer. I'm going to go ahead and select a gray. You can see right there where it lands on the color spectrum. Right around there. It's got a little bit of that Simpsonite yellow in there. I'm going to grab the marker. You see the pen brush is already selected on the left hand side. And super important that you want this to be semi-translucent, just like it is there. So now I'm just kind of rubbing in some color to help build that form. It's going to help the human eye see that form. And I'm going to go around that whole bottom side. You notice how it keeps my line work. I'm not going over my line work. It's just acting like a very traditional marker. And to me, that's cool. Coming from paper and pen, I've been doing art since I was 9. To me, this is still exciting. Every time I do it, I'm like, wow, I can't believe where the digital age has taken us. All right, so I create another layer, and I'm going to make it a little darker by adding a little bit of black to your color now. And I'm going to take it the next level up now. You notice I'm going to start shading some different areas. So I'm going to pick that left side. I'm just going around. See, I was letting that line work still show through. Super important. Just coloring different planes in now. Now let's just sit back and watch. Okay, now I'm going to kind of select, I'm going to add more white to that mixture. And remember when we started this in the beginning, we went with kind of an off gray mixture for the canvas. Now I'm going to go ahead and take that white and I'm just going to illuminate that top surface like the light was hitting it, the sun, could be anything. That's really going to help further describe this form. Just like so. And again, we're going to start to do other videos showing you these different brushes and whatnot. Very hard. This video would have been like 4 hours. I've touched on everything. And it's not one way to teach anyway, by throwing all the information out at once. So it's kind of a nice overview showing you the layers, showing my process, and the what's and whys. All right, now when I blew that white color on, it kind of gets a little overspray on the edges. I'm just erasing that and sharpening that up a little bit. So as you can see, I kind of went around it with the white pen just to kind of go right along that black pencil line. And now I'm creating a little bit of the shadow at the floor. This is kind of just a rough sketch to kind of get things going. And that helps keep the object look like it's stuck on the floor. It's not just floating in mid-space. And I use a soft brush for this. You notice it's kind of the airbrush tool. Keep things really, really soft. And then I'm just going to blow in some stuff on the floor like it's kind of sitting on the floor. And I'm moving my, you see I'm moving my pen, just trying to give the indication that a little bit of like rubble or rock or organic matter on that ground plane. We actually plan on actually building this actual piece. It's going to go together with a video set. So I figured I'd just share kind of this iteration sketching process. So as you can see, I added some text. That's pretty helpful, especially for notes. These could be simple notes. Let's say it's towards the end of the day. You had a cool idea. Maybe this is a fire pit. Maybe it's something else. You can go ahead and make textual notes with the text tool. Super important. Also, when you're doing these for contract drawings, that's where you can really spell out the language, whether it's samples, textures, colors, and kind of CYA, so to say. Now, here's what I love about digital drawing. Is I can create that into a single layer. Now watch this. I'm going to be able to duplicate that now and make another revision out of it. Unlike traditional media, I would have to redraw that all over again. Depending on your proficiency level, some are going to be faster than it at others. So I make a copy, I'll move it out. From there, I can do a lot of different things with it. Okay, I can scale it up, I can scale it down, rotate it. And maybe this was a different version sent to a client that's going to have a different color or a different style. So pretty cool. Okay, so I'm going to start tootling around with this right bench. I'm going to turn this into a fire pit. I'm going to show you how we do that from a sketch perspective. Again, keeping things loose. These are nothing more than concepts and ideas at this point. But I'll go ahead and draw a rectangle around the perimeter, put an X through it. That finds your center. Once you find your center, now you know where to land your little fire pit. And I'm kind of talking maybe more of a propane insert. As you can see here, there's the X. There's your center line. When things are in perspective, you know, to help place that is very important. And even for a rough concept sketch, you kind of want to have it semi-accurate. So here I'm just doing a little demonstration showing you guys, you know, how the box in perspective is skewed and it gets smaller or widthwise as it recedes towards the back. So I'm going to just exaggerate this just a little bit. Go ahead and do a rectangle in perspective, put your X, and then where that X meets, that's your center line. You know, super important when placing, you know, fire pits or things that are symmetrical into three-dimensional space. You notice how the column on the left, or the box on the left, is thicker than it was on the right. So as you can see, we located our little fire pit insert. We started with that X, we dropped it in, pretty rough. If you're going to build this, I would, you can use CAD or some other three-dimensional programs, but for iteration sketching, this works just great. So that pretty much wraps up the video, guys. Just wanted to give you a nickel tour of the program I use, some of the brushes, and a little bit of insight of the what's and whys to sketching. All right, guys. Catch you on the next one. Later.